What is a Woox-walk, and how can an Excl wobble be better for beginners? If you are anywhere close to the mid-game level of RuneScape, you've likely heard of the phrase Woox-walking. But what exactly is Woox-walking? For those familiar with the term, you could probably skip ahead quite a bit, or just skip the video altogether. But for those not familiar, you have to first understand the game mechanics a bit. Old school RuneScape operates on a system of game ticks. Approximately every 0.6 seconds, a new game tick occurs, and every action in the game either starts, occurs, or ends at the start of each tick. While playing, you can usually do one action per game tick. Move a square over, one game tick. Start an attack, one game tick. Tell the kid that just PK'd you how much they suck, one game tick. Of course, there are exceptions to this, but we're not going to get into that here. When you are walking, you will occupy the next square over every new tick. But if you want to attack something, the game will stop for that tick to start your attacking action. For many high-tier bosses, there are mechanics that require you to move at all times, lest you eat a face full of damage for every game tick that you weren't moving. And if you are moving for that one game tick, that means you can't stop to apply damage during the same tick, unless you enjoy feasting on damage in return. Which leads to a great dilemma. Should you stop an attack to apply damage while also taking it, or should you keep walking and not take hits while also being completely useless? At some point, a guy named Woox presumably said, "You know what? This is stupid. I want to send some of my own damage and move around, both at the same time." And thus, the principle of Woox-walking was developed. What Woox discovered was that if you stood just outside the range of whatever weapon you were wielding, and then clicked on whatever you wanted to attack, your character would take one step forward to get within range of the target and also attack the target, all in the same game tick. If you use your next tick to step back out of range, you can repeat the cycle indefinitely and essentially always be on the move while also applying copious amounts of that delicious offensive damage. Alas, the Woox-walk was born. As nice as this sounds, there are still some drawbacks with using Woox-walking, especially when trying to learn it as a beginner. The biggest being that the method is highly dependent on proper and accurate timing within each game tick. If you click forward and back too quickly, the game will leave you in the square that you were starting in and you will take damage. If you click too slowly, you won't move out of the current square quick enough and you'll take damage. If you completely lose your rhythm in the middle of all of this, you will take a crap ton of damage. The other problem with the walk is you have to be fairly accurate with your mouse clicks. If you don't click directly behind you, you might start Woox-walking sideways, which can have you start wandering into puddles of other problems, depending on the boss. So while struggling mightily myself while trying to learn the Woox-walk, and paying a small fortune trying to reclaim my gear, I thought, this is stupid. I want a way to walk that I could bail out of at any time. And thus, I sort of developed my own method to this madness I like to call the Excl Wobble. To show this method, we'll use Vorkath. I also highly recommend turning on your active tile indicator, as this will help immensely with learning the timing of game ticks, while also showing your actual in-game location during each tick. To do the wobble, first you need to find the range of your current weapon, and then start walking one row further back. The crossbow on Vorkath is great to learn this with, as the fight mechanics for the poison phase mean if you stand just within range here, when the poison comes out, most of the back row will be clear, and you can just start pacing back and forth in this safety lane. This comes in handy because if things start to go south while doing this method, or you just don't feel comfortable, you can always revert back to pacing back and forth until this stage is over. So step 1, take a step back out of your weapon's range and start pacing here in your safety lane. Step 2, when you feel ready and you're walking up to a spot that is a clear area on the ground, you can start the Excl Wobble. Click the boss once to start your attack, wait one game tick, or about half a second, and then click back behind you to retreat back out of range. And then, one tick after that, click once more off to the side to re-enter your side-to-side pacing. This is essentially just a Woox-walk with a side click added to get you back into your safety lane. So once again, front click to the boss, back click behind you, side click to start pacing again. Step 3, continue pacing back and forth until you're ready to make another attack. That's essentially the Excl Wobble. The nice part about doing it this way is if you screw up the timing of your clicks, you usually won't take more than one hit of damage before you start walking in the safety lane again. If you're having trouble getting down your timing, you could use this to learn the cadence without committing yourself to a full-on Woox-walk, which usually ends with your face getting pummeled and your bank account getting 100k lighter. The other nice benefit is that if you're terrible at clicking accurately, this method will still generally work, as you will still go backwards on the second click and will always walk sideways in the safety lane on the third click, even if you're off by a row or two. Just click in the right area and you should be okay. By getting back into the safety lane, you'll have time to eat if you made a mistake or contemplate your choices in life. As you get more familiar with the timing, you could do this wobble maneuver with pretty much the same efficiency as a standard Woox-walk. In this slow motion example, here using a crossbow, which has an attack speed of 5, you would need 6 ticks and 6 clicks to take 2 shots doing a Woox-walk. Now, using the wobble, you can pace 2 squares over and back and still get off 2 shots and 6 ticks, but with only 4 clicks needed. This should also work for most weapons, as you would only need to adjust the number of squares you move to the side depending on the weapon's attack speed. And of course, the added benefit to this is if you feel the need to bail out of the sequence, you already have the move to do it built into the method. By the time you've got your timing down and mastered the wobble, you'll be ready to move into pure Woox-walking. So hopefully that guide was helpful and you can start getting those sweet, sweet drops.